Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the task in front of you? Like it is too big to even believe that it could be possible? When was the first time that you remember feeling that way? Maybe it was solving a big math problem or an English assignment where you had to write more than you have ever written previously. Or maybe you bit off a little more than you should have on choosing your science project. I don't remember when the first time I felt that feeling is, but I definitely remember feeling it in each of those situations. When I was preparing to become a pastor, we had these assignments called exegesis, and they were big papers where we would try and really dive into the text and understand it as fully as we possibly could, looking at different angles and different ideas. Every time I worked on one of these papers, I would get that exact feeling, like I am lost, like it's too big to even know where to begin. So I have to break it down into small pieces before I even know how to get started. For one piece, I start with reading the scripture and thinking about it. For another piece, I'll look up the words that are important to the text. For more pieces, I'll read some commentaries. I have to be intentional to avoid the blind spots in my perspective, so I make sure to include people who have different experiences than mine. It's like this large puzzle combined with a scavenger hunt where I'm trying to find the puzzle pieces before I can even begin to put them together. Each piece I find helps me to see the whole picture more clearly so that I can understand better. There's this verse in Proverbs. The beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom. And in all of your getting it, get understanding. Each new piece of wisdom that comes my way helps me to understand better. And sometimes I think faith is like that. I get a piece from something I read here or there. I get a piece from being in worship and hearing the music or the sermon. I get a piece from hearing the community of faith say together their confession. I get a piece from hearing the promise of forgiveness. But those aren't the only places that I get the pieces of this puzzle of faith. I get pieces as I walk around in nature, looking at the fingerprints of God on creation. I also find pieces in conversations with friends or in the love of family members. Sometimes it's a wildly unexpected experience where someone just says something truly brilliant that I have never thought of before. You know, one of those things that just bubbles up that is so eloquent and so simple that you kind of get a little jealous that you didn't think of it yourself. Many times, I'm not really finding new pieces of faith, but picking up pieces that I had found previously, but had maybe lost or forgotten. But each piece is worth celebrating. Each small step forward in a relationship with God is worth its own party. The pieces may seem insignificant as we're putting them together compared to the whole picture, but when we examine each piece in our puzzle, we recognize how important that piece is. If a piece is missing from the puzzle, it doesn't matter how small or insignificant it may have seemed. Suddenly, it is the most important piece. For me, my faith is the biggest project of my life. And as with any big task, it has to be broken down into smaller pieces. And one by one, they keep adding to that big picture. So whatever big projects you're working on, may you take time to celebrate the small accomplishments that move you towards that end big project. May you find joy in celebrating and indulging in each tiny piece, as it gives you a better picture of the whole. And may you know how important you are as a piece of this family of faith.